Hello, and welcome to the online version of Microbiology 303. In this first module, I introduce you to the course a little bit. There's much more information on Canvas, and make sure you look at the orientation module, and we'll talk about a bunch of other stuff. First, make sure you take the microbiology concept inventory. This is a 10 to 15 minute survey that asks you what you know about microbiology. Don't worry if you don't know the answers to the questions. I don't expect you to. You haven't taken the course yet. I just want to learn your baseline understanding. Please do not search the internet looking for the answers. I want to learn what you know, not what Google knows. At the end of the course, I will have you take the MCI again, and this will allow me to know what you learned, and hopefully then I can make improvements to the class. We will talk a bit about course information in this first lecture, then we'll get right into the material. Defining microbiology, making a case for why studying microbiology is important, and then spending some time talking about the history of microbiology. Ready? Let's begin. I am your instructor, Timothy Poston. I earned my PhD in bacteriology in 1989. Yeah, that was before you were born. I have taught here at UW-Madison since 1991. My research interest is you, in other words, education, where my main work has been creating tools to analyze how well students learn various subjects. Right now I am helping to create a concept inventory for immunology. You can learn much more about the course by reading the syllabus, which is linked in the course orientation module in Canvas. To make sure you look at that information, I have included a syllabus quiz. Make sure you do it as soon as you have finished the syllabus. This is in, again, the course orientation module. The course is broken up into 13 modules that cover various areas of microbiology. In each of these modules, you have things to absorb and things to do. The absorb pages will list readings, videos, and lectures. Even though it is listed as absorb, I'd advise you to do this actively, taking notes as you go. The do pages will list assignments that need to be completed, almost always for points. You will be assessed in this class in several ways. As we go through the material, there will be online worksheets and other assignments I will ask you to fill out. I hope to also add discussions where we as a class will chat about important topics in microbiology. And in fact, we're doing that. I was lucky enough to get 10 scientists that work in the microbial sciences building to help me out, so you'll get a very active participation with someone who works in the field. These will be spec graded, meaning that I will look for certain qualities in the assignment, listed in a rubric that you can look at, and please look at the rubrics. If you meet the requirement, you get the points. If you don't, you don't. To get you ready for the exams, each module will finish with a quiz of 5 questions each. This will give you a chance to practice recalling the information in a low-stakes, test-like environment. Note, you can take these over. Finally, there will be 4 short exams, each about 50 questions. You only get one chance at these, and they will be timed, so make sure you prepare. Timing will probably be about 50 to 70 minutes. If you are McBurney students, yes, you will get time and a half. All assignments will be open book, but I strongly encourage you to study for exams. You will not have time to look everything up. For each lecture, I will post learning outcomes. I do this because students in the past have wanted this information. I honestly don't think it's that useful for you. I use it to help design my class. All right, let's go. Throughout the lectures, I will ask you questions to help keep you on track and make sure you are understanding the material. These will be recorded and will be part of your participation points in the class. For this first lecture, it will not be worth points towards the course to give you a chance to practice a little bit before it counts. Let's get right into it. So the first question is, which of these is a good definition of the term microorganism? You will see in just a second, a little thing pop up that you need to answer, and then you can make a choice. The correct answer is either D or E. They kind of are good definitions or they're not good definitions. So what is a microbe? Microbes are mostly not visible to the naked eye, but there are exceptions. There's an organism just discovered in the last 20 years called Thiomargarita nambiensis that lives off the coast of Namibia. This microbe eats hydrogen sulfide and uses it to reduce nitrate or oxygen. This organism is visible to the naked eye. However, most microbes are not. But because of this, here's my newer definition. We will consider microbiology to be the study of organisms that can exist as single cells, that contain a nucleic acid genome for at least some part of their life cycle, and are capable of replicating that genome. Right, so that's my definition. There's another activity I want you to do. I want you to think about how you currently relate to microorganisms. So I have produced a discussion topic, and that is posted at Canvas, and make sure you respond to it. Basically, I'm asking you to answer these two questions and then read and reply to other people's answers. This is all listed on Canvas. Make sure you do it. The two questions I want you to answer are, from your own personal life, name one harmful thing bacteria can do, and from your own personal life, name one helpful thing bacteria have done. Next question. As you're probably seeing, I like to have you paying attention and participating. So, who really owns the planet? So what percentage of life on this planet do you think is microbial if you looked at the number of organisms? What percentage do you think is microbial? Please answer. The correct answer is E. Rough estimates figure there are 2 times 10 to the 19th animals versus 1 times 10 to the 30th bacteria. That works out to be 99.99999999% of the world's life is microbial. But wait a minute, Dr. Postjan. Macroorganisms are much bigger. One human weighs a lot more than one microbe, so this really isn't a fair comparison. Okay, let's ask it again. Who owns the planet? Looking at biomass, what percentage on life on this planet is microbial? Now, what a lot of students will do is they'll still pick 99 or 80%, and that's actually not correct. The correct answer is C. About 50% of life on this planet is microbial, but that's still a lot of the life on this planet, right? So it's still making up a huge percentage. So, half the life on this planet is microbial. What makes up these microorganisms? They can be split into 3 groups: bacteria, archaea, and eukarya. Bacteria are mostly single-celled organisms. They grow by asexual reproduction. They have a simple morphology compared to eukaryotes. They have complex and diverse metabolism, and a few are important pathogens. The second group is the archaea. Wait, there's another set of small bacteria-like cells? Yeah, there are. The archaea. We will explain later in the course, but for now, know that they are mostly single-celled organisms. They grow by asexual reproduction. They have a simple morphology. They have complex and diverse metabolism, and none so far have been found to be human pathogens. And that leaves the eukarya, the group you heard all about in your biology class. Some are single-celled organisms, some are colonial or multicellular. There is asexual and sexual reproduction. They have a simple or complex morphology, but in comparison to bacteria and archaea, they have a relatively simple metabolism. We will also talk about in this class a group of microbes that are not living. These are viruses, viroids, and prions. They are not considered microorganisms because they are non-living entities. We'll get into that as we go through. I will finish up this first lecture by giving you a sales pitch about why microbes are worth studying. First, they are the most abundant organisms in the planet. They affect the lives of microbes in many ways. Second, microbes have a huge impact in a number of different ways. Metabolic processes that they do are not seen in macroorganisms, and often these are essential processes. They impact global biogeochemical cycles of carbon, nitrogen, sulfur, phosphorus, water, and other metals. They affect the weather through cloud formation, and they affect soil and water quality. The impacts that they have, even though they're incredibly small, are global in scale. Another reason to study microorganisms is their use in biomedical research and basic research. There is a common evolutionary origin to all organisms. Thus, what we learn about these microbes will apply to all living things. Microbes are easy to study because they are easier to manipulate than plants and animals. You can grow literally billions of them overnight, and they make great models for various processes. As two examples, E. coli is a model organism for many basic life processes, and cyanobacteria that carry out a plant-like photosynthesis serve as a great model for photosynthesis. A third reason to study microorganisms is the harmful effects that they have, their medical importance. When people think of the harmful effects of microbes, they immediately think of infectious disease. Infectious disease in a normal year accounts for about 25% of mortality worldwide. Unfortunately, because of the recent COVID-19 pandemic, that number is probably going to be much higher. What you might not know is that microbes are also beneficial to human health. The microbes that grow on us are called our normal microbiota, and they provide useful functions for the human hosts. Fourth, microbes also play an important role in agriculture. Soil health depends on microbes to degrade compounds deposited in them and provide them for future use. Those nutrients are then available to all sorts of plants and animals. Plants depend on microbes for nutrients and defense. Microbial diseases of plants impact agricultural productivity. One example is disease spread by the Asian citrus phyllid and caused by Candidus liberibacter. The psyllid is a sap-sucking insect that serves as a vector and delivers the bacterium to the plant. The bacterium then causes citrus greening, as shown on the photo on the left. The plant in the foreground is suffering from citrus greening. A second example is bird flu in turkeys. This turkey story is interesting. Flu hit Brad Moline's farm. He took some samples of the University of Iowa, and they determined it was bird flu. He had to end up killing all of his 56,000 birds because of the worry that the flu might jump to humans. And this is how seriously the government takes influenza. By the way, he was compensated for the birds. Microbes are also useful in food production, including chocolate, bread, cheese, fermented vegetables such as kimchi, and beer. There have been whole books written about fermentation and beer brewing. The use of microorganisms in food production is microbes are used in biotechnology. Listed here are just a few examples how microorganisms find use. Bioremediation and biodegradation of plastics and toxins is a way that microorganisms can be used. Microorganisms are used in genetic engineering. They are used in the creation of bioenergy and biofuels. They find great use in the industrial production of chemicals, enzymes, pharmaceuticals, and food additives. And finally, microbes are used in mining and petroleum recovery. So, what do you think is the most important thing that microbes do? Obviously, there's no wrong answer here. But just think about what we just talked about and write down what you think struck you as being very interesting. Hopefully you now see the importance of microbiology in your life and in the lives of everyone. In the next lecture, we will briefly cover the history of microbiology.